Family, I need you to lean in close for this, because the most dangerous attack is never the one that kicks down your door with a battering ram. It's never the one that announces itself with alarms and flashing lights. No, the most dangerous attack is the one that slips into your life unnoticed. It's subtle, it's quiet, it's almost invisible, and it's effective because it doesn't look like an attack at all. It looks like comfort, it looks like routine, it looks like harmless distraction, but beneath the surface it is pulling you away inch by inch from the place you were destined to stand. You see, when the enemy can't destroy you outright, he will disguise himself as something you think you need. He will show up as that one more scroll on your phone when you were supposed to be studying, praying, writing, building. He will show up as that relationship that looks safe because it's familiar, but deep down you know it's not feeding your spirit. He will show up as busyness, always running, always working, always exhausted so that you're too tired to notice that your soul is starving. That's the attack, not fire falling from the sky, not earthquakes splitting the ground. No, the real danger is a whisper so subtle you almost mistake it for your own thoughts. And I need you to see how calculated it is, because if it came loud and obvious, you'd call it out, you'd rebuke it, you'd turn away. But when it comes dressed as convenience, you don't recognize that it's robbing you. Convenience convinces you that it's harmless, but in reality, it's crafting chains you won't notice until you try to move and realize you can't. It's like being rocked to sleep, slowly, gently, a lullaby playing so soft you stop paying attention. Before long, your eyes are heavy, your passion has faded, your fire is dim, and you don't even realize you've drifted. That's why the warning had to come, not to make you afraid, but to make you aware, because awareness is the first weapon. When you know what you're up against, you don't fall asleep while the enemy is working. Think about this. Subtle attacks target the places of your life that don't look like battlegrounds. They go after your habits, they creep into your choices, they hide in your compromises. And the reason it's so subtle is because the enemy knows if he can shift you just 1 degree off course today, you'll be miles away from your destiny tomorrow. 1 degree doesn't look like much when you're standing still, but let time pass, let distance stretch, and suddenly you don't even recognize how far you've wandered. That's why you've got to pay attention to the little things, not just the obvious battles, but the quiet ones. The battles over your discipline, the battles over your focus, the battles over your self-worth. The battles that whisper, it's not that serious, just skip it, just let it slide, just one time won't matter, because that's the disguise. It's never about just one time, it's about creating a pattern, and once a pattern sets in, it becomes a prison. And let me say this, sometimes the subtle attack doesn't even come from outside. Sometimes it's not culture, not society, not people, it's the voice inside of you that's been rehearsing the same lies for so long you don't question them anymore. Lies that tell you you're not good enough, lies that tell you you'll never break the cycle, lies that tell you you're too late, too broken, too flawed to still matter. And if you don't catch it, if you don't confront it, that inner whisper becomes a leash pulling you back every time you try to step forward. But here's the good news. Once you name it, you disarm it. Once you call the subtle attack what it is, you strip it of its disguise. And when it can no longer hide, it can no longer hold power. That's why the warning was given, because this is not the season to be lulled to sleep. This is not the moment to confuse distraction with peace. This is not the time to mistake comfort for safety. This is the hour to stay awake, to stay watchful, to stay discerning, because the attack is subtle. But so is the Spirit's whisper calling you back, reminding you who you are, nudging you into alignment, stirring you awake before it's too late. And so I came to tell you tonight, don't be fooled by the disguise. Don't let subtlety steal your destiny. Don't let comfort trick you into captivity. Stay awake, because what looks small right now is really the first move of a larger plan. Because the subtle attack comes in disguise. Family, let me tell you something that may shake you a little, but it's the kind of truth that will set you free. The real battle we're up against is not happening out there. It's not in the news headlines. It's not in the economy. It's not in the streets. The fiercest battle is happening inside of you. It's not the war you see, it's the one you feel. It's the struggle that keeps you awake at night, the voice that questions if you're enough, the heaviness that tries to settle in your chest when no one else is watching. That's the battlefield. That's the war zone. You see, if the enemy can get inside of your mind, he doesn't need to touch anything around you. He doesn't need to destroy your family, your finances, your opportunities, because once he's convinced you to destroy yourself from within, he can sit back and watch you unravel. That's why the warning was given, because before the great shift, before the breakthrough, before the awakening, there will be an attack that isn't about your circumstances, it's about your soul. Think about it. How many times have you walked into a room where everything looked fine on the outside, but inside you were falling apart? People saw your smile, they heard your laughter, but they didn't know you were carrying battles in your spirit that were too heavy to name. That's because this war doesn't leave visible scars. It leaves invisible wounds, and invisible wounds are the ones that bleed the most, because no one sees them enough to help you bandage them. And isn't it true that sometimes you are fighting two versions of yourself at once, the you that knows you were created for more, and the you that feels chained by fear? The you that dreams boldly at midnight, and the you that wakes up in the morning already talking yourself out of it. The you that wants to step into freedom, and the you that feels safer in the prison of what's familiar. That inner conflict, that's the battle, and it's the kind of battle you can't win by pretending it's not there. The danger of this attack is that it convinces you the war is with everyone else. You think it's your boss, your partner, your children, your friends, your critics. But the truth is, the fight is within. Because if the enemy can get you to believe the wrong story about yourself, you'll sabotage your destiny without him lifting a finger. You'll talk yourself out of opportunities, you'll silence your own voice, you'll convince yourself you don't have what it takes, when the truth is you've had it all along. And can I pause here and tell you this, that inner war is not a sign that you're weak, it's proof that you're valuable. You don't attack what doesn't matter, you don't fight for territory that isn't worth owning. The fact that the battle rages so heavy inside of you is evidence that there's something on your life so powerful that it had to be resisted. So if you've been feeling like you're under pressure, if you've been fighting thoughts that make you doubt your worth, don't mistake that as abandonment. It's confirmation. Confirmation that you're on the brink of something the enemy doesn't want you to touch. But here's the part that shifts everything. You don't win this war by trying to control everything outside of you. You win by mastering the inside of you. You win by silencing the lies. You win by refusing to accept defeat in your own mind. Because when you can get your soul anchored, when you can remind yourself of who you are, the storms outside of you can rage, but they won't knock you over. This is why the subtle attack aims for your thoughts, your emotions, your inner world, because that's the command center of your destiny. If the enemy takes that, he takes everything else without effort. But if you protect that, if you guard your heart and mind, then no matter what shakes around you, you'll stand. So maybe the biggest challenge isn't what's coming against you, it's what's rising within you. Maybe the victory isn't about changing your surroundings, it's about transforming your soul. Maybe the breakthrough isn't out there waiting to be found, it's in here waiting to be claimed. And I came to remind you tonight that the fiercest attack is not outside, it's within. One of the most unsettling realities about the days we're walking through is that deception doesn't come dressed like deception. It doesn't announce itself with red flags and flashing lights. It doesn't walk in with a label saying, "Here I am, I'm here to trick you." No, deception often shows up looking like truth. It sounds almost right. It feels almost good. It carries just enough familiarity that you don't question it, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Because the easiest lie to believe is the one that's wrapped in a little bit of truth. See, the attack before the shift isn't just about destruction, it's about distortion. It's about twisting something pure just enough that it no longer points you toward purpose, but away from it. It's about convincing you that light is dark and dark is light until you can't tell the difference anymore. And that's how people start drifting, not because they ran toward evil, but because they couldn't recognize deception hiding in plain sight. And here's the thing: deception feels comforting at first. It validates what you already want to believe. It lets you stay comfortable in the decisions you've been making. It doesn't challenge you to grow. It soothes you where you are. But you've got to understand this. Not everything that comforts you is good for you. Sometimes the thing that feels easiest in the moment is the very thing that's lulling you into a trap. Think about how subtle it works. A distorted thought comes to you. It's not that serious. Everybody's doing it. One time won't matter. It doesn't sound dangerous, right? It almost sounds logical. But little by little, those whispers rearrange the way you see the world. They blur your vision. They soften your convictions. And before you know it, you're walking in a direction you never meant to go. But you didn't notice the change because the deception didn't look threatening. And can we be honest, sometimes we want to believe the lie. We want the easier path. We want the shortcut. We want the excuse that allows us to avoid the hard work of discipline, faith, sacrifice, or healing. So when deception shows up offering us a way out that costs less, we take it because it feels like relief. But relief isn't always release, and there's a difference between being relieved for a moment and being set free for a lifetime. Deception can give you relief, but it will never give you freedom. This is why discernment is everything in this season. Because when deception looks like truth, you can't afford to rely only on what feels right. Feelings will fool you. Logic will sometimes mislead you. Popular opinion will almost always pressure you. You need something deeper than surface-level sight. You need a clarity that cuts through appearances, a vision that can separate what's authentic from what's counterfeit. And here's the heartbreaking part. Deception doesn't just attack individuals, it attacks communities, families, whole generations. It turns people against each other, not because they hate each other, but because they've been fed distorted versions of the truth. It convinces people to fight battles that don't matter, to chase things that won't last, to trade destiny for distraction. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years defending a lie you never stopped to question. But the warning was given so you would recognize the season. So you would be able to say, "I will not be fooled by the distortion. I will not be tricked by the counterfeit." Because when truth is under attack, your greatest responsibility is to guard your heart and your mind from believing what sounds good but leads to ruin. So tonight, I need you to hear me. Don't settle for almost truth. Don't swallow a distorted version of your identity. Don't let deception redefine your destiny, because the greatest weapon of this season isn't destruction, it's distortion. And the most dangerous lies are the ones that feel like truth. When you look around at the times we're living in, it's not hard to see that love is under attack. And I don't just mean romantic love. I mean the kind of love that binds families together, the kind of love that holds communities strong, the kind of love that gives compassion to the hurting and patience to the broken. That love, the love that keeps hearts soft, is the very thing that's being tested the most, because if the enemy can strip us of love, then he doesn't have to destroy us with force. We'll destroy each other. We'll turn cold, bitter, and distant, and that's when the attack wins. Think about it. How many times has offense come knocking at your door? A misunderstanding, a betrayal, a harsh word spoken at the wrong time, and suddenly the love you had starts to shrink. One offense here, one disappointment there, and before long you find yourself building walls around your heart just to keep from getting hurt again. And the walls might protect you from pain, but they also block out love. That's the danger. Because once your heart grows cold, you stop seeing people through compassion and start seeing them through suspicion. And this is what makes it so subtle. You don't even realize love is being attacked until one day you wake up and you're numb. You don't cry when you used to. You don't care the way you once did. You find yourself scrolling past stories of suffering without flinching, hearing about loss without feeling the weight of it, ignoring calls for help because you're too tired to care. That's not just exhaustion, that's the attack. A gradual cooling of the heart, a slow draining of empathy, a quiet convincing that love is too costly to give. But here's the truth, the cost of withholding love is always higher because when love leaves the room, so does unity. When love leaves, bitterness takes its place. When love leaves, division multiplies. When love leaves, we lose sight of what matters most. And the timing of this attack is no accident. Before the great shift, before the awakening, love will be tested because love is the glue that holds everything else together. And maybe you've felt that test in your own life. Maybe it's in your family where forgiveness seems impossible. Maybe it's in your friendships where trust has been broken. Maybe it's in your own spirit where you're wrestling with whether you can keep pouring into people who never pour back. That's not just life, that's the strategy, because if love can be poisoned, then faith, hope, and purpose all begin to unravel too. But I want you to catch this. Love is not just an emotion you feel. It's a choice you make. It's a decision to stay soft in a hard world, to stay generous in a selfish one, to keep believing in people when disappointment tells you to stop. Love isn't easy, love costs, but it's also the greatest defense against the attack, because where love lives, bitterness can't thrive. Where love is present, division has no room. Where love abounds, cold hearts start to thaw. And I know some of you are tired of loving. You've given so much. You've been hurt so many times. You're wondering if it's worth it. And I get it. Sometimes love feels like the most dangerous risk of all. But if you shut it down, if you lock it away, if you let the attack win and your heart grows cold, then the very thing you were created to carry, compassion, grace, mercy, gets silenced. And we can't afford to lose that right now, not in this hour, not in this season. So maybe the challenge isn't to love when it's easy, but to love when it's hardest. To forgive when it makes no sense. To extend grace even when you're running low on it yourself. To keep your heart soft in a world that keeps trying to harden it. Because the real attack is not the pain you've endured, it's the attempt to convince you to stop loving altogether. And I came to remind you tonight, before the shift, before the moment of awakening, love will be tested the most. One of the most dangerous attacks in this season doesn't come with pain, it comes with distraction. And distraction is powerful because it doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like scrolling a little longer, working a little harder, chasing one more goal, comparing yourself to one more person. It feels like busyness, it feels like movement, it feels like activity, but the truth is, you can be moving and still not be going anywhere. You can be busy and still be completely out of alignment with purpose. That's the trap. Distraction doesn't have to destroy you to defeat you. It just has to keep you occupied. If you're too busy chasing what doesn't matter, you'll never have the energy to step into what does. If you're consumed with the noise, you won't hear the whisper of destiny calling you higher. And if you're constantly looking at what everyone else is doing, you'll never see the assignment that was placed in your own hands. Have you noticed how easy it is to give hours to things that don't build you, don't feed you, don't grow you? Hours spent comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. Hours lost in arguments that will never change anything. Energy wasted trying to prove yourself to people who were never meant to validate you in the first place. And then when it's time to pour into your purpose, you feel empty. That's not coincidence, that's strategy. Because if the enemy can't stop your calling, he'll drain your focus until you abandon it yourself. And here's the thing about distraction, it doesn't always look bad. Sometimes it looks good. It looks like opportunities that aren't yours to carry. It looks like commitments that sound noble, but were never meant for your shoulders. It looks like success that pulls you away from significance. That's why distraction is so dangerous, because you'll justify it. You'll tell yourself, at least I'm doing something. But doing something is not the same as doing the right thing. Thing you were rumthing for. And can we talk about how distraction robs intimacy? It pulls you out of moments. You're physically present, but your mind is somewhere else. You miss the joy in your children's laughter because you're glued to your phone. You miss the whisper of peace because you're drowning in noise. You miss the opportunity to grow because you're numbing yourself with endless scrolling, endless chasing, endless striving. And before you know it, days turn into months and months into years, and you're still circling the same mountain because distraction never lets you climb. But here's the part that breaks me. Distraction doesn't just steal time, it steals destiny, because your purpose is time sensitive. There are people connected to your obedience, lives waiting on your yes, breakthroughs tied to your alignment. And if you're distracted, if you're too busy chasing after what doesn't matter, then the things you were called to birth into this world may never come forth in the way they were intended. That's the attack, not destruction, not devastation, just enough noise to keep you from hearing your name being called. That's why discernment is so critical. You've got to ask yourself, is this building me or is this binding me? Is this feeding my purpose or is this draining it? Is this something I'm called to or is this just something that looks good from the outside? Because not every open door was meant for you to walk through, and not every opportunity was meant for you to carry. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is not in saying yes, it's in saying no. And I know it's hard because we live in a world that praises the grind, glorifies the hustle, celebrates the busy. But what good is it to gain everything they said you should want, but lose the very thing you were created for? What good is it to have applause but no peace, recognition but no rest, success but no purpose? Distraction will give you everything you think you want, but it will cost you everything you truly need. So I came to remind you tonight, guard your focus, protect your attention, refuse to let distraction steal what destiny requires. Because the attack is not always destruction, sometimes it's the quiet pull of being too busy, too tired, and too distracted to ever step into purpose. There is a reason the warning came before the shift. It wasn't to paralyze you with fear, it was to prepare you with awareness. The shaking that's happening around us, the turbulence in the atmosphere, the pressure that feels almost unbearable at times, it's not meant to crush you, it's meant to wake you. Because there is nothing more dangerous in this season than falling asleep when destiny is calling you to rise. So many people are walking through life with their eyes open but their spirits closed. They're moving, working, scrolling, hustling, but they're not awake. They're surviving, but they're not discerning. And that's why the warning had to come, because if you're not careful, you'll mistake the shaking for chaos instead of recognizing it as a call to awaken. And I need you to understand this: the warning is not punishment, it's mercy, it's grace, it's an invitation to pay attention before it's too late. Because once the moment arrives, once the shift takes place, you won't have time to prepare. Preparation has to happen before the trumpet sounds, before the curtain lifts, before the final hour strikes. The wake-up call is sounding now because love is so deep, it doesn't want you to be caught sleeping when it matters most. Think about how easy it is to drift into slumber, not physical sleep but spiritual. You stop praying like you used to. You stop listening like you used to. You stop believing like you used to, and it doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually, little by little, a compromise here, a distraction there, until your soul has hit snooze so many times that you don't even realize you've been lulled into a spiritual sleep. And that's exactly why the warning is so necessary, because the alarm has to be loud enough to shake you awake from the comfort that's been numbing you. And here's the thing about waking up. It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes the sound of an alarm. Nobody enjoys being shaken out of sleep. But if you don't wake up, you miss the moment, you miss the train, you miss the chance, and destiny doesn't wait forever. That's why this warning is urgent. It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to shake you into recognizing that the time to prepare is not tomorrow, it's now. The wake-up call is asking you to examine your heart, to look at the places you've been asleep, the places you've been numb, the places where distraction, deception, and doubt have crept in, because the danger isn't in the shaking itself. The danger is being unprepared when the shaking hits. But if you hear the warning, if you recognize the alarm, if you let the discomfort stir you instead of silence you, then what was meant to catch you off guard will actually catapult you into readiness. And let's be real, some of us don't want to wake up because waking up means we have to face what we've been ignoring. It means we have to forgive who we swore we'd never forgive. It means we have to release what we've been clinging to. It means we have to step into responsibility when it feels easier to stay in denial. But if the alarm is sounding, it's because there's more on your life than where you are right now. There's too much at stake for you to keep sleeping. The beauty of the warning is that it's not just about avoiding danger, it's about stepping into promise. It's about aligning with destiny. It's about positioning yourself so when the shift happens, you're not scrambling to catch up. You're already standing where you need to be. The wake-up call is love saying, I don't want you left behind, I want you ready. And so I came to tell you tonight, hear the alarm, feel the shaking, and let it stir you. Because the warning is not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up.